Is Jared Polis to blame for rising Medicaid?
That's incredible power for a governor. I want to find out more. This will be fun, my friend. This will be fun.
Text messages on the last hour. I think this is probably pretty close to what we're going to see this week.
Yeah.
5453. I think the reason nobody wanted to release the Epstein files is that there are politicians on both sides in there. But that's not the catastrophic issue for both parties. The donor class is about to be decimated.
Ooh.
And I am here for it.
You know, I like that texture, and I think you've got some very, very clever words there. I think you're right, that the donor class is because, Jeff, you and I know that inside of the mob and inside of politics, there's one golden rule. Don't F with the money. And that's what these files are going to do. It's going to F with the money on a large level. And I think it's very insightful looking at the donor class, because now if you're a politician and that person, whoever it is, pick your favorite person that donates to your causes or the person that you hate the most that donates to the other side. And if they're implicated, now all of a sudden those donations are going to be used in opposition research. And it's going to be, why did you take money from this person that was so friendly with Epstein? And as well, there should be questions. I didn't say it was wrong. I'm just saying, yeah, the texture's got a point.
Breadman bringing up a great point as well. What about the fact Epstein was texting Democrat members of Congress in real time, directing their questioning of witnesses? Did you see that?
Yeah. There's all sorts of things that are just crazy.
What?
Yeah.
And trying to, go after Trump and his administration and setting that all up?
Oh, yeah.
And the author going, come on, now's the time. Let's take them all down.
That's why I want everything released, because Epstein is too well connected from what we've seen for either party to come out clean. And I've been very open. I'd love to burn both sides down. So I'm happy. Let's just see it. And for me, releasing all the files and letting the cards fall is probably the most justice that any of the victims will ever see. I have a hard time believing that anybody is ever going to be taken into a court and held accountable for what they did. I mean, right now we got Maxwell being taken into a light security where she gets to play with puppies. Yeah. So the idea of the judicial system getting involved and creating any sort of justice for these victims, I think that ship has sailed. And so the best case scenario in my mind is drop it all, and the public will decide.
Is it coming? What do you expect to see? Plus, is Jared Polis creating the problems Colorado's facing with its budget, with its Medicaid spending? We'll get to all of that and
Jeff,
more.
that sentence was much too long. You could have just stopped after problems. Just saying. Much too long of a sentence, my friend.
Yeah, there you go. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good Tuesday morning, 45 and cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 61 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
It's one of the cliches. If it can happen there, it can happen anywhere.
Stephen Tubbs from the DEA's Rocky Mountain Field Division says after the largest seizure of counterfeit pills in state history and the sixth largest single seizure of suspected fentanyl pills in U.S. history, it's time for even more people to know, especially young people in Colorado.
And I think now, in the weeks and months to follow, let's give a shout out to the Douglas County schools. Let us come as DEA and let us tell your classroom, your community group, your Kiwanis Club, your Rotary, that this is here, and this should be a wake-up call for everybody in Colorado.
1.7 million counterfeit fentanyl pills found in a storage facility in Highlands Ranch. David Oleski and our old friend Tubbs in studio with Jeff and Billy this morning. And how many lives did this potentially save, David Oleski?
Hundreds of thousands. You know, the laboratory testing for DEA, we do regular testing over the years, and at its height, it's gone up to 7 of every 10 pills contains a lethal dose, down to 3 or 4. So the bottom line is you don't know what is inside one of those pills.
Hundreds of thousands. Congrats to the DEA's Rocky Mountain Field Division. An awesome job, and great to see Steph and David today in studio here at KNUS. Congress expected to vote on releasing the Epstein files.
The bill would force the Department of Justice to disclose records related to the late financier and convicted sex offender, a fast-tracked effort that comes months after a vote was stalled. The public is still invested in the Epstein files.
Clearly there's more. They would have been released a long time ago.
I have a lot of questions, but I don't know. I guess, I assume they would be releasing the juiciest stuff first to get people's attention, but who knows? I guess there could still be more out there.
I honestly just think putting the list out there would kind of be enough.
An anonymous White House official has said the government does not have a list of pedophiles who worked with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm Natalie Migliori, NBC News Radio.
And you heard Jeff and Billy talking about Harvard's Larry Summers last hour. I just needed to add a few things. Okay, one more. Jeez. And then Scott Jennings, he stuns Anna Navarro and the CNN panel talking about Stacey Plaskett, Democrat, who was being programmed by Epstein, evidently, before, I think it was 2019.
There you go again.
Scott,
there you go again, trying to make this into a Democrat.
I think it's very.
She
was being programmed by him after the moment you said we all knew. It's very hypocritical for you to call out the names of only the Democrats, but not apply the very same logic to everyone.
What Republican was he programming?
Listen, hold on. You're basically saying if you're named in these documents, I guess you're saying that they should be condemned. Anna is basically saying, let it all out. But you're the only one who's making a carve out for one person, and that's Donald Trump.
There's no evidence that he had any contact with Epstein after he excommunicated him, but we do have evidence that he was programming Democrat members of Congress. Why isn't that a big deal to you guys?
I guess the point.
And this is only the beginning. Services returning to normal on several popular websites and apps that were impacted by Cloudflare outage today. The web service firm said a fix has been implemented and the incident is now resolved. The outage caused issues with apps and websites like ChatGPT X and the video game League of Legends. DoorDash says hackers got access to customers' phone numbers and physical addresses. The online food ordering and delivering company insists this type of data is not sensitive because it doesn't include things like social security numbers. I don't care. They say the crooks got in when an employee fell for a social engineering attack. All right, 3 college football games tonight to kick off Week 13. I mean, they're meaningless games, but I like looking at this because I want to play a Name That Nickname with Jeff and Billy real quick. Bowling Green and Akron, Ohio against UMass, Western Michigan and Northern Illinois. Top 10 nicknames, in my opinion. Akron and UMass. Anyone, real quickly, don't cheat. Akron. How about Akron? Do you know their nickname?
The hay balers. No, not that. No,
Jeff?
that's not it.
The Lambkins.
Ooh.
I like that one, though.
Good. They are the Zips. Because they have
Zips.
a zipper factory in Akron.
Do they?
Ohio, yep.
Oh, nice.
And they are, I think that is one of the greatest nicknames.
That's pretty cool.
Because, it is. It's a good one.
There are so many options for cheers and chants you could do at the game for that. So, yeah, okay.
No doubt.
I like that. Yeah.
No
okay.
doubt. And how should I say this? Gestures. How about gestures?
Yes. Yes, gestures are good. Yes, exactly.
How about,
many gestures.
How about UMass? I love this one.
Oh, aren't they like, no, it's because Maryland's the Terrapins.
Mm-hmm.
But UMass, I don't know.
Think history.
Oh. The Fighting Cornwallises.
Good one, though. Good one. I like it, Jeff.
Fighting Cornwallis.
I'm just thinking, be cool hats in the stands.
Not bad. You're close. You're close, Jeff.
It's the Minutemen.
Hey, you cheated.
I did.
Nicely done.
That is correct.
I
Jeff
just
is
typed
correct.
in UMass,
And I
it
love the
said
fact that
Minutemen.
during the time I'm answering, Jeff took the advantage and researched. I salute you, sir. I cannot discount you for that one. Nicely done.
That was great quickness, man.
That was good.
I love it.
It's very smart.
I love it. The Minutemen from UMass, Western Michigan, Northern Illinois, also playing tonight.
Is that an appropriate name? We got to change that. I think G-Dub, my alma mater, dropped the Colonials.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, because of what? Really?
Yeah.
Well, the Minutemen, I mean, they're just looking for a.
Did they?
I think they could do Minutemen, but the problem is you just got to change what the moniker means, and then you get one of those ED sponsors. Then you're fine.
Right.
Then you're good. I think it's fine.
Right.
Plenty
of
you can
jokes
do
there.
a logo, and you can design a logo in your head however you want right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's why
there are
the
options.
Zips. Yes, that's why the Zips and the Minutemen going together. It's pretty funny.
Yes, every sixth grader is going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like those old soccer. I think I told you this a year ago.
Yeah.
The old soccer teams in the MLS. It was Kansas City.
Oh yes.
The
Whiz and Burn.
The Whiz and Burn.
Yes, Kansas City Whiz and the Dallas Burn. Yes, you'd have the Whiz and Burn.
Yes.
Yes, I know that one. Yes. I love that.
All right, Nuggets fall to the Bulls last night, 130-127, even though the Joker had 36, 18, and 13. 42 in Castle Rock, 43 in North Glen, 45 in Denver. And Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
The system that came through yesterday is off to the east, so it'll be partly cloudy. Temperatures are going to be hovering around the 50s to lower 60s for the next 3 days, at least for today and tomorrow. Lower 50s on Thursday. Today and Wednesday will be a mix of clouds, sun, and dry conditions. Lows tonight, lows tomorrow night will be in the lower to mid-30s. Now, late Thursday night into Friday morning, chance of rain and snow shower activity as a small storm system will be passing through eastern Colorado here at the end of the week. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
So Medicaid here in Colorado accounts for 38% of the Colorado state budget, including federal funding, making it the largest single category of spending for the entire state. If you're wondering where all your money is going and why everything is so expensive, it is Medicaid spending. Total state and federal dollars for Medicaid in Colorado, $13.6 billion in fiscal year 2023. The state covers 36.7% of all the Medicaid spending, and the federal government covering 63.3%. But Jared Polis going, wait. It's Medicaid. That's the problem with our budget. In a CBS article, Polis said if the state doesn't slow the rate of growth of Medicaid, the program will crowd out everything but funding for schools in the next few years. Listen to that. A little government-run healthcare system, Medicaid, the program will crowd out everything but funding for schools in the next few years. In the state, 1.2 million Coloradans rely on Medicaid. The governor says none of them will lose coverage, but what the coverage looks like will change. There's two levers on Medicaid, Polis said during a press conference. One is how many people you cover, and two is what you cover. Polis's budget request hones in on what services Medicaid plans to cover. There's been a number of benefits that have been added in recent years, Polis continued. Some of those are not sustainable over time. Now, our friends over at Rocky Mountain Voice said, Mr. Polis, what has been added? When has it been added? They write the governor's right, of course, but what neither CBS nor The Sun seem interested in following up on was that last bit. They highlight Polis's words from the quote above. There has been a number of benefits that have been added in recent years. Yes, indeedy, there have. Rocky Mountain Voice writes. By the way, you got to go to RockyMountainVoice.com. Great news and reporting there. And guess who signed a lot of them? Well, good old Jared Polis himself. And then they used a bill research tool to dive into what these are. They picked up several bills, some of which really didn't have much to do other than ask for studies, but others absolutely added to the cost. In 2020, Polis signed bills that let people who have too many resources to qualify for Medicaid, but who are above 65 and disabled to buy in to Medicaid in Colorado. He also signed a bill that, and you see this multiple times, played games with COVID money the feds fire hosed into Colorado to help shuffle dollars around and to help us, quote, launder, unquote, more federal Medicaid dollars. In 2021, Polis signed a bill to let more pharmacists get Medicaid dollars, and then another bill about shuffling around federal COVID dollars. In 2022, Polis signed bills to drop their requirements that Medicaid patients needing repairs on complex rehabilitative technology get prior authorization before paying. This didn't give Medicaid to new groups, but it greased the skids for Medicaid outlays. Oh, and he also signed a bill that would allow Medicaid to pay for therapy with horses if you want it. That's right. Our tax dollars are going to Medicaid therapy with horses. In 2023, Polis was back at it, removing another check by eliminating prior authorization for certain advanced medicines as above with the rehab, and then there were significant expansions for what Medicaid would pay for. And lastly, Polis signed a bill in 2024 to study whether or not we could convince the feds to allow us to use Medicaid to cover health-related social needs. Think the use of Medicaid dollars for housing, nutrition, and utility bills. And then finally, they point out that House Bill 221289, signed by our governor, expanded Medicaid coverage in Colorado to anyone that might be here illegally. So we find ourselves at a place where Medicaid is covering more and more, including people that shouldn't be in this country. It has become the single biggest drain of our resources in Colorado. Jared Polis pointing out that, we got to address this after helping create the problem that we're facing. Another example of Democrats being both arsonists and firefighters and then claiming the credit for putting out the fire. But Bill, in my mind, it seems to be getting unsustainable. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah. There are some problems with expansion for these programs, and the fact that Polis himself admitted that some of the expanded benefits are not sustainable over time is a large indictment of what the state legislature has done. I've screamed, and you have as well, about the misappropriation of COVID money, that over and over again, it has been demonstrated that the Democrats here in Colorado viewed a one-time lump sum payment from the federal government just to make ends meet as instead a gift to start a whole bunch of programs. So those in charge of our legislature understood that they were given a one-time check, and they went out and bought a car that required payments over a long term, yet payments of money they didn't have. They did this, and they walked into it. And Jared Polis has admitted that some of these expanded benefits are not sustainable over time. Now, the problem with that is the people in the legislature, that's kind of your job. It's kind of your job to manage the state budget as far as what is sustainable over time. So I am looking at the state legislature that y'all have to go back and fix this. And we've got a caller on the line, Spencer, that's got a really interesting idea and insight into why some of these problems have been created and then ignored by the Democrats in the state legislature. But these are things based on budgetary items that have to be addressed. And I like the fact that you pointed out the things like the horse therapy. That seems fairly easy. Yeah, seems very easy to trim those type of programs in order to find savings. Everybody listen to the Jeff and Bill show at some time or another in your adult life has gone through both times of plenty and times of fallow in your personal budget. And when you go through those leaner times, you go through and cut some of the stuff that is extraneous at that moment. Horse therapy and things like that seem to be extraneous. Do we want to cut, things that will cover cancer treatments or cancer screenings or medication or surgeries for people that are disabled or the elderly? No, we don't want to do that. But things like horse therapy, that seems to be something that is malleable enough inside of a budget that we can pull back and restrain ourselves during a leaner time until our budget is fatter. Everybody listening to the show has gone through that exact exercise. It is time for our state legislature to go through the exercise, but I don't think they care. At the core, I don't think they care.
Bill, this is prime example as to why a government solution for healthcare is a disaster. They continue to add more and more things on top of it. And it's not just healthcare and not going to the emergency room. We now need to provide housing, and we need to provide food, and we need to provide counseling and your horse therapy and everything else. And it just grows and grows and grows. We have more people on Medicaid than at any point in Colorado history. We're now funding illegal immigrants to be on Medicaid. It is 38% of our budget. And as Jared Polis himself said, that if we don't address it, our state budget will be made up of two things, folks: health care and its unending skyrocketing costs, and education and its unending skyrocketing costs. The two things that the government is managing get worse and worse with regards to their services, more and more expensive. There's no free market influence on those two industries. And so they continue to devolve. Let's get to Spencer in Castle Rock here. But real quick, let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. The guy is rock solid when it comes to getting justice for people who've been hurt in injury cases. Dan Caplis, the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. He also got $200 million for the family that had lost their loved one in the Glenwood Springs accident. Did the research, found out that the company had policies that led to the death of that young girl. And this was not just justice for the family, but justice for all of us that entrust our kids to these theme parks. Dan Caplis is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS Law.com. All right, let's go to the phone line. Spencer in Castle Rock. Good morning, Spencer. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, guys. So how do you neuter Tabor in Colorado without a single vote being cast?
Fees.
You run $1 billion deficit every year. And the JCB is reporting that we're $1 billion deficit this year. We're going to be about an $800 million deficit next year. And then for fiscal year 27-28, we're going to be a $1.3 billion deficit.
Wow.
And they don't like the governor's proposals, but they're not stating the obvious, which is pull back on your other spending until you figure out a better plan. None of us run our households this way. And those of us that do don't have a household. When the bills get too expensive, you start cutting the luxury items. These people want to have their cake and eat it too. And your Tabor is gone because this is what they're going to be doing for the foreseeable future.
You know, Spencer, I hadn't considered that angle. And once you called off air, I started chewing around in the back of my head with it and then listened to you as you explain it. And I can't say that you're right or wrong, but I am going to tell you, you make one hell of a good case. I think you make a lot of sense as far as motivation, that the Democrats haven't been able to go after Tabor legally through the court system, and the voters haven't allowed them to tear it apart. So if you create massive budget deficits and still have to send tax money back to people, then you create the need and say, wow, we wouldn't have all of these deficits if we just got to keep more of your money. I hadn't looked at it that way, but I think you've got something there, man. I think you've diagnosed something that I'm not saying all the Democrats are going at it that way, but I think a good number of them. I could definitely be persuaded that a good number of them are looking at it that way, that if we just continue to spend more, we then have the argument to keep more.
It's, I don't know if it's true. It seems like the most obvious to me. It's quite amazing to me that 38% of our state budget services 1.2 million people.
Yeah, I think that's an issue as well, and I like the idea of cutting out some of the luxury. And what are some of those extra things? Personally, as far as, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Bill, doesn't this prove that Medicaid isn't going to be able to provide the services? It just grows and grows and grows. More and more people. I don't think it's providing quality services, and it's becoming a bigger part of our budget.
I would disagree, because usually people that are on Medicare give it very high scores. If you looked at, are you happy?
Medicare or Medicaid?
Both of them get fairly high scores, I think, because I think it's on normal, on surveys about are you happy with your insurance, etc. They do okay. They do, I think, better than average and better than most. But again, I could be wrong about that. But I know in the past they've had from users a very good response, that people are happy with it for a variety of reasons. So I disagree with the idea that if everybody was on Medicare, that we would universally hate it. I don't see that being portrayed in what I've seen from the user base. But Spencer, your thoughts on it?
Well, I think it's a service that's needed, but I think it's bad governance, right? We expect, as you said, we expect our legislatures here in the state to have some foresight. Some. I'm not saying they need to be able to read 20 years down the line, but come on. These things need to be taken into account, and the decisions that they make, up there in the legislature, they're not doing their job. And I think they don't care, like you said, because who's going to replace them? They're going to get reelected.
Yeah.
And there's nobody holding them accountable.
It's not their money. It's not their money. We set up these systems. We did the same thing with education. The state budget is playing this out right before us. They get more and more expensive. Government is this leviathan that just keeps growing and growing and growing because it's not their money. And you have no Republicans that are actually going to replace them. So,
do you guys think there needs to be a mechanism for citizens, for everyday people, to be able to get some kind of legislation past our legislators and up to the people to vote on, so that we can start making changes outside the legislature? I'm talking about passing something like term limits, which they will never bring to the table. They will never vote on. I really feel like the citizens of the state and of the country need to have some mechanism that allows us to bypass the legislature and put legislation in front of the people to vote on.
Yeah,
Because
there's a citizen
it.
a citizens initiative process. Advanced Colorado is fantastic. In fact, they're going to be announcing on Thursday that they've collected 200,000 signatures in order to get a ballot initiative on that will actually penalize people for fentanyl abuse.
But the state does come in and make it more difficult with things like their titling issue and whether or not, the idea that, what you're trying to do in this piece of, sponsored legislation, not legislation, in this petition is too wide. It can't be a single issue. It's not a single issue. And the other thing they do, Spencer, is they hold anything started by the citizens based on petition to a higher standard than what they hold legislative actions. Because the legislature can come to us and ask us to vote on something, but they're not held to the same exact standards as if the very same question was originally proposed by the voters. So it's not even the same game.
We need a piece of legislation that requires our state governments to maintain a budget. And the second they run a deficit, they need to start immediately rolling back all new spending that they put on place to create that deficit until they get back to a surplus.
Yeah, either that or what we do is we hold their personal finances responsible and say, we'll just start garnishing your paychecks and your assets. We'll just do it that way.
The minute you run a deficit, you lose your paycheck.
Yeah.
Then we have no governance. So
I like it. Thank you, Spencer.
You're the best. Thanks, Spencer.
Spencer from Castle Rock. His line is open if you want to join the conversation. Give us a call at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Campbell Law text line at 720-819-5115. Bill, everyone's conversations right now are about next week and Thanksgiving. Right?
Yeah, they are.
Where are you going to go? Who are you meeting? Who's cooking? Who's bringing the green bean casserole? All that stuff, right?
And here's the thing. And here's the thing that heading into Thanksgiving, if you're the person that is hosting, if you have that pressure on you, you understand that the majority of your day is not about enjoying friends and family. The majority of your day is making sure that things are right inside of the kitchen and then telling other people to get the hell out of the kitchen because you're messing things up. So everything about that, the cooking prior to and then clean up afterwards, all of that stress rests squarely on your shoulders. But Jeff, you might have a solution that's going to make that day a little
Absolutely.
easier.
Let's talk about my friend Stephen Michelle with Black Eyed Pea of Colorado. I absolutely love this restaurant. My entire family does, in part because the food is so fresh, locally sourced. You can taste the quality. Even my teenagers recognize it. It's home-style cooking at its best. 8 locations around the Denver metro area. There's sure to be one near you. Bottom line, you want to take your family out to eat at the Black Eyed Pea. All right, so let's talk Thanksgiving coming up. If you don't actually have to cook, you don't want to, but you still want that great Thanksgiving food, well, the Black Eyed Pea of Colorado is open on Thanksgiving Day. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., they'll be serving all of your holiday favorites. Roast turkey, stuffing, glazed country ham, slow-cooked pot roast, and your choice of 2 sides. For dessert, you can choose between pumpkin or pecan pie or the cherry cobbler. Perfect for the whole family. And heads up, holiday catering's available if you're doing that family gathering at home. So if you don't want to cook, just go to the Black Eyed Pea. You can get great food on Thanksgiving Day. If you want to cater, so you're all getting together, but you want to show up with great food, you can do that as well. Black Eyed Pea gift cards are always perfect for your spouse birthday favors or holiday presents, or as a thank you to someone special. Get them a gift card. My family loves this restaurant. This is our go-to after church lunch, and everybody enjoys it. I know you'll enjoy it as well. Keep it in Colorado. Visit the Black Eyed Pea near you. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Great article out of Rocky Mountain Voice about how Jared Polis is frustrated with rising Medicaid spending, but he's the one that did this. Bill, our friends over at Common Sense Institute took an analysis of the budget going back to fiscal year 2008. And you can press a little play and you can watch the numbers jump around, okay? Back then, the highest percentage of spend in Colorado was on education. And then around fiscal year 2010, you watch healthcare jump up. So now Obamacare, that's kind of post-Obamacare. And it's this line that just keeps getting longer and longer, and everything else is dropping down, and getting smaller and smaller as a percentage of it. And so healthcare policy financing is becoming the beast. It's becoming the big spend for the state. Well, everything else, education, human services, transportation, corrections, the judiciary, the treasury, public health and environment, early childhood, public safety, natural resources, labor and employment, local affairs, law, military and veterans affairs, regulatory agencies, agriculture, all going down to becoming a smaller percentage. And at this point, Jared Polis himself saying that in a few years, Medicaid and healthcare policy plus education are going to be the two things that the state can finance, just those two. Do you want to live in a Colorado where healthcare policy and financing is the single biggest spend out of everything else, dwarfs everything else, or do you see that as a problem?
I see it as a problem, but I see it as a different problem than you do, I think. Because my impression where you're coming from is that this is a huge problem with the state budget and we have to get it under control. We have to change how Medicare is allocated and who gets it. And I think there's some truth to that. I think there are some programs that have been expanded beyond their means, and especially ones that didn't have full funding. Why you would start a program and not be able to fully fund it, I don't understand that, because how many of us start a home rehabilitation or remodeling project and then can't fund the whole thing? How many of us have done that thing? So, I mean, there's a question about that you're going to start something and not have the money to complete it. Where I look at it is that our healthcare spending in America is out of control, just as a whole. And I'm talking about private and public. And for me, this is a symptom of a larger problem. And we've talked about it on the show before that we are the only major developed country where medical debt bankruptcy is actually a thing. And so for me, it is a symptom of our larger problem. Now, while it probably isn't the dominant budget number inside of most of the listeners' households, I bet it's creeped up. I bet it's a larger percentage of it now than it was in 2008 and 2010. It probably isn't the dominant force that it is in the state budget, but it probably is sucking up a lot more resources than it was back then. So I think that what we're seeing in the state is twofold. There is some mismanagement, but there's also just an expansion of what our healthcare costs are.
All right, we're 15 years into Obamacare and the government stepping a larger and larger role into providing that service, that medical service for you. And as we can see, it is exploding. Anytime you put the government in charge of anything, you reduce the transparency and you take away important factors that drive the cost of something down. For instance, let me point to your phone. Okay, your phone's computer is more powerful than the entire computer that took astronauts to the moon. It's wildly powerful and gets more powerful, and your services get better. And what used to cost thousands of dollars to have a car phone, right, now costs a few $100s a month or something to be able to have something incredibly powerful in your hands, right? There's lots of market forces that push costs down and improve quality. What you have with healthcare is a government that steps in You lose transparency, you lose control, you lose those market forces. It's getting more expensive. It's dominating the state budget. We're 15 years into this experiment with Obamacare, and it's proving to be a total failure. It needs to be addressed, and handing the government more money and expecting better services is not going to happen. Let's go to the phone lines with Stacy here in just a second. Guys, let's talk L&L heating and air conditioning. Every day I wake up just praising the Lord for the great people at L&L heating and air conditioning. We got a new AC and furnace installed by them. I can control the thermostat with my phone. It's amazing. I love it. And you've heard me say it before, when it comes to keeping your home comfortable, who you trust matters. And that's why I recommend my friends at L&L Heating and Air Conditioning, a local family-owned company that truly cares about your comfort. Right now, they're offering a full furnace system evaluation for just $59.95 and a complimentary second opinion if you've already got a quote from someone else. And when you install a new furnace or AC, you'll get a free programmable thermostat or carbon monoxide detector, plus no hidden charges, no trip fees, and next-day installations. They don't nickel and dime you. They're just good local people that provide quality services. I love it. Their Gold Plan maintenance keeps your system running efficiently year-round, and you'll even get 1 year free with a new furnace and AC combo. I love that L&L gives back, offering discounts for first responders, military, and seniors, and treating every customer like their family. So if your home's too hot or too cold, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning because, as they like to say, you'll be comfortable with us. Visit bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. I've been absolutely thrilled with their care of our family. We've never been more comfortable. All right, we'll get to Stacy next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking a great article in Rocky Mountain Voice. Go to RockyMountainVoice.com. Bill's search reveals how Polis grew Medicaid, yet he blames it for rising costs. Welcome to the world of Democrat leadership. Let's go to Stacy in Denver. Good morning, Stacy. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning. I have a few things, so hopefully you won't hang up on me. One is on the Medicaid. There are people out here who are aware of fraud and abuse and have tried to report it, and it's gone nowhere. So who would you recommend? Who would you recommend it be reported to? And then the other is Rocky Mountain Voice. I recommend they look into the CDHCPF. I believe it's Colorado Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing, and Mark Williams. That will go a long way in resolving some of these issues. Somebody has alleged that he was the former mayor of Arvada. So it's kind of interesting that he's now, I don't know how you go from that to the healthcare policy and financing bureaucracy. And if anybody knows who to report the fraud and abuse to, we would appreciate it, because there's a movement out here of people who are on it who want to get off it. So I'll listen offline. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Stacey. We'll see if we can research some of that. I don't know who to call.
I don't know. I don't know.
No
That's
idea.
part of the problem with the government running
No idea.
stuff. It's like,
I know you're gonna have
it's
to,
like
like,
if you have
yeah.
problems at the DMV, you're like, who do you call?
Yeah. And whatever it is, it's a long menu of things and choices, and you got to push 1s and 3s and 7s, and I have no idea. We'll see if we can find something out, Stacey.
Yeah, and we'll be back tomorrow. It's been great. Thank you to everybody who joined the show, especially the heroes out there with that big drug bust. Y'all are awesome. We love you. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS.